Well, Giants fans, I hope I'm not saying something that you don't already know, but the Giants absolutely suck. But there's hope. Because when looking at this roster on paper, there's a lot of really good pieces both on the offense and on the defense. I mean, you have a bookend left tackle who, when healthy, is a top 5 left tackle in Andrew Thomas. You have a dynamic young rookie receiver in a Malik Neighbors. You also have another dynamic rookie in a Tyrone Tracy at running back. And then over on the defense, you have, in my opinion, the best defensive tackle in the league in Dexter Lawrence. 2 really good edge rushers in Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau, which has led to having the most sacks in the NFL through 9 weeks. And then you also have a really good linebacker in Bobby Okereke. So the Giants have good pieces. We just might be missing the most important position in all of football, which is a quarterback. And I'm going to hopefully fix that. We could also look to solve this secondary problem with ideally a cornerback 1, but more realistically a cornerback 2. And we could also use another receiving weapon, a right guard, maybe a right tackle, could probably use a safety, maybe even another defensive tackle alongside Dexter. Okay, the point is, there's a lot of holes on this roster, but the most important one, in my opinion, is getting a really good upgrade at quarterback. And I think that will automatically make this a playoff team. So with that being said, let's get into this mock draft. Alright, so PFF doesn't allow you to go 7 rounds just yet. We can only go up to 5 rounds, but I still think I could fix this team in just 5 rounds. Starting off with ideally a quarterback, we're picking here at 7, and I'm hoping that either Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward drops to us here at 7. So fingers crossed that is what happens. So we're going to start the draft, and it looks like only Jalen Milroe went off the board, which is completely ideal. Jalen Milroe would have been my 3rd option at quarterback, but now we can pick between Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. I don't think we should be picking any other position here at pick 7. I think it's got to be a quarterback. Now, I know this isn't the best quarterback draft class. I've been saying that a lot, but I think Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders are worthy of this number 7 overall pick. Granted that the Giants are in this position. So, this is going to come down to if Joe Shane and Brian Daboll are still in charge of the Giants. And if that is the case, I lean more towards Cam Ward. Brian Daboll loves his mobile quarterbacks with a big arm, kind of like what he had in Buffalo with Josh Allen. I think that he would lean more towards Cam Ward. I know he really liked Drake May and Jaden Daniels, both which were mobile quarterbacks with pretty good arms, or at least deep balls. Maybe we still go with a Shedeur Sanders, a bit of a safer pick if, Joe Shane and Brian Daboll are kind of a little bit more timid and want to just make the safe pick. But if I was the GM / head coach, I would go with Cam Ward. Cam Ward is a super risky pick, I know that. He could end up being a massive bust, or he could end up being a top, 6 or 7 quarterback in the league one day. He has that type of upside. It's just if he's going to be able to refine things like, his processing ability and limiting those absolutely wild plays where he, runs, all over the field just to make some cross-body throw that ends up being almost intercepted. Like, we got to cut those out of Cam Ward. But if you can kind of just calm him down a little bit and limit those, risky backyard type of throws, I really do think Cam Ward could be a really good quarterback in this league one day. So we are going to pick our quarterback of the future. We might even keep Daniel Jones one more season. I don't think Cam Ward should start week 1, but maybe halfway through the season, we should replace Daniel Jones with Cam Ward. So we are going to go with Cam Ward, the quarterback out of Miami, to hopefully fix all of the Giants' issues. We're going Cam Ward. Now moving on, we have the 39th overall pick, and I don't know if I said this before, but we're not going to be doing trades. It's still a little too early. But now here at 39, I'm going to look for either an offensive lineman, whether that's a guard or a tackle. I'm going to be looking for a cornerback 2, maybe a quarterback 1, depending on how this board fell. And I think that's the only positions we should be looking at right now. So let's first look at the offensive tackles. We got an Emory Jones, a Jonas Savagnier, a Blake Miller even. That's really good for here at 39. Interior guys got a Tyler Booker, a Jaden Roberts, a Parker Brailsford. Okay. Offensive line is looking real juicy right now. Let's also look at cornerback though. And this board might have felt perfectly for the Giants. Ajay Barron would be good. He's been playing on the outside here at Texas this season, but he is 5'11", only 200 pounds. Ideally, I think he's more of a slot cornerback, and Right now we have a really good slot corner in Drew Phillips. I think he's going to be a really good player soon. We got a Tacario Davis though. Tacario Davis could be a perfect outside corner at 6'4", 190. Just a super lengthy guy who could be sticky in coverage. Him and Deonte Banks. That sounds good. Doesn't sound perfect, but it sounds good. A lot better than what we have. Just out of curiosity, let's look at receiver. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of these guys would be a little bit better in round 3 or 4. I'm a big fan of Trey Harris. If he falls to round 3, we might snag him in round 3. But in round 2, I really think we need to fix this cornerback problem. I think Jermaine Illuminor, he's going to be here next season as well. He's on a 2-year contract. I think he could be the right tackle until that contract's up. John Michael Schmitz at center is solid. Andrew Thomas is still on that big contract. And John Runyon just got signed this past offseason. So really all we need in the immediate future is a right guard. Because Greg Van Roten is, pretty old. I don't know his contract situation, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to be a free agent after this season. So I really think we could find a serviceable guard in free agency if we're not able to snag one in these top 3 rounds. I don't think we'll be able to get a cornerback 2/1 in a Tacario Davis in free agency. I think that might be a little bit more risky. So we're going to go with Tacario Davis here in round 2, going to the Giants to maybe develop into a cornerback 1, but at least year 1 be that cornerback 2 alongside Deonte Banks, who has struggled here in the recent weeks. Moving on here to 71. Let's look at the offensive line. Donovan Jackson's here. That's perfect. Donovan Jackson could probably slide into right guard year 1 and be a really good fit. Let's look at receiver. Evan Stewart would be a nice wide receiver. When I'm looking at receiver, I'm looking to probably replace Darius Slayton. I believe he's a free agent after this season. I really don't want to have to pay him. We got Malik Neighbors. We got Wan'Dale Robinson on, rookie contracts. Let's just get another rookie receiver to, replace that Darius Slayton role. I really think Trey Harris would be a very fun option, but also a Ty Felton, what I think would be a perfect Darius Slayton replacement as well. The question is, do we get a Donovan Jackson, who I'm almost certain will not be here in round 4? I'm somewhat confident. Oh, not tight end. I'm somewhat confident that either maybe a Pat Bryant, a Trey Harris, a Ty Felton, maybe even a Theo Weiss, maybe like Deion Burks. I'm a really big fan of, but he would kind of not really mesh well with what we have right now with a Wan'Dale Robinson and a Malik Neighbors, who both play a little bit of slot. Ricky White's interesting. He's got the size to play on the outside as that receiver too, but I'm not confident in that. I really ideally would want a Pat Bryant, Trey Harris, or Ty Felton to fall to us in round 4, and I think we're gonna bank on that happening. And I think we're gonna take a Donovan Jackson, who could shore up that offensive line massively. If we do this, that would be Andrew Thomas, who's a top 5 left tackle on the left side. John Runyon, who's been serviceable this year. John Michael Schmitz, who's had a big bounce back season after his rookie year last year. Donovan Jackson being that rookie at right guard, who I think could hold his own there. And then Jermaine Illuminor. Again, is it perfect? No, but will it be a really good offensive line? At least a serviceable one to have a rookie quarterback playing behind? I think so. Because you got to think, Cam Ward is going to be playing next season. Maybe not week 1, but he would ideally be playing somewhat next season. And, if that does happen, you want to have a really good offensive line to protect him. So we are going to go with Donovan Jackson here and pray that either Pat Bryant, Trey Harris, or Ty Felton fall to us. Now here it comes. Is there going to be a receiver here? Ty Felton is here. Okay, this is good. I want to see where Trey Harris ended up going. Oh, Trey Harris went top of the 4th round. We almost were able to pick up a Trey Harris. If we picked up a Trey Harris in the 4th round, I would have been over the moon. But we couldn't, unfortunately, get him. Now, Ty Felton is a very good option here, but I also seen Nick Emanwari. I did say we needed a safety. I'm not the biggest fan of Jason Pinnock. I really like Tyler Nubin, But Nick Emanwari, again, he would kind of be that Tyler Nubin role. I think Jason Pinnock's more of that free safety, rangy guy. So I don't know if Nick Emanwari would be the perfect fit alongside Tyler Nubin. So I'm a big fan of Nick, but I don't think it really fits us too much. We could look tight end here. Yeah, I didn't think there would be any solid tight ends. I'm a big fan of Theo Johnson, but, you know, is he the perfect tight end? Not really. I do think we are going to look to shore up that wide receiver core. You know, having Malik Neighbors, who will hopefully take another step in year 2, Wan'Dale Robinson being that slot guy who is able to break tackles and pick up much needed first downs, and then Ty Felton being that deep threat. You know, Darius Slayton role, who, you know, is more of a deep threat, but Ty Felton's a more natural pass catcher than a Darius Slayton, because I'm not sure if I've ever seen Darius Slayton bring in a tough catch. You know, he drops tough balls. Again, they are tough catches, but he always drops them, and he's a body catcher, which I hate. You know, I don't think I've ever seen him just snag a ball out of the air with 2 hands. He's always a body catcher, which I just really don't like. I think Ty Felton could be that guy who can snag big catches and also be that deep threat. So I'm going to go with Ty Felton out of Maryland here. And now, rounding it out, again, this is only going to be a 5-round mock draft. Rounding it out, we could look to go with a developmental, either right tackle or left tackle, just a developmental swing tackle. We could look to go with a defensive tackle to pair up alongside Dexter Lawrence. We could look to go with a safety to, you know, eventually be the Jason Pinnock replacement. Again, see, PFF is running out of options here. Andrew Makubo, that could be a solid pick. You know, I'm not mad at that. You know, let's look at tackles. Tackles is looking thin. I mean, Charles Grant fits that role of being a very developmental swing tackle. We could look to go Charles Grant. Or what was the other position I said? Defensive tackle. Joey Slackman, Bear Alexander. Okay, Tonka Hemingway. That's one of the best names in the draft. Thor Griffith, again, another really good name. Even Bear Alexander. These are great names. All pro names. And I just peeped a Walter Nolan here at 196. Why is he here in round 5? I think he's more of a day 2 guy for sure. You know, a borderline round 2 type of player. Not sure why he's here at 196 overall. But I'm not going to ask questions. Good players fall in the draft all the time. Getting a Walter Nolan would shore up that entire defensive line. Again, we're probably going to lose Azeez Ojulari either at the trade deadline, which is in like a day or 2, or he's going to leave in free agency for nothing. We're not going to be able to afford to bring back a third edge rusher, you know, with the talent of an Azeez Ojulari. Which reminds me, let me just look at edge, make sure there's nothing spicy here. Yeah, Colin Oliver, nothing crazy. But Walter Nolan, Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, and Kayvon Thibodeau, that's the best defensive line in football. I don't care what anyone says. You know, Walter Nolan I think he could develop into a really, really good defensive tackle. So getting him in round 5 is an absolute steal in my opinion. And that's going to end out this draft. Let's look at what we got. All right, so it looks like PFF gave us an F for Takario Davis. That's insane. Okay, we're not going to look at PFF's, you know, grades because it's wrong. I'm just going to say right now it's wrong. Cam Ward is going to be our Daniel Jones replacement. You know, Brian Daboll loves his mobile quarterbacks who can, you know, throw deep balls and be that big play threat, similar to a Josh Allen. I think hopefully Brian Daboll, if he stays in New York, found his Josh Allen in a Cam Ward. That's what we're hoping for. Takario Davis, that long, lengthy cornerback who can, you know, break balls up with his long arms, being that cornerback 2 alongside Deonte Banks, or even ideally being that cornerback 1 if he develops really quickly. Amazing pick in my opinion. I don't understand that F grade. Donovan Jackson, the offensive guard out of Ohio State, being that Greg Van Roten replacement. That shores up our offensive line to have at least average players throughout that offensive line with, again, a really good left tackle in Andrew Thomas. It shores up a really good offensive line for a rookie quarterback in Cam Ward to play behind. We also get a Ty Felton to hopefully be that Darius Slayton replacement. We could even sign Darius Slayton to another 1-year, 2-year deal on a cheap deal, and then have Ty Felton be in that wide receiver 4. I feel bad for Jalen Hyatt. I love Jalen Hyatt, but I just don't think he's going to work out here in New York. Ty Felton, I think, could work out. So we got that Darius Slayton replacement in round 4. And then we shored up the one hole we had on our defensive line, which is our, defensive tackle alongside Dexter Lawrence. Having Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau on the outside, Dexter Lawrence being that, nose tackle, and then Walter Nolan being that, guy who's going to attack the, B gap. That's an absolute amazing defensive line. And with the Walter Nolan and Takario Davis picks, I think that shores up us having one of the best defenses in the league on paper. Probably a top 10 defense in my opinion. Cam Ward can hopefully win us a lot more games than Daniel Jones, and I'm just going to say it here. I think I might have fixed the Giants. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments though, and I might be doing this with some other teams as well if this video does well. But with that being said, I'm the Draft Nerd, and thanks for watching.